to the 2020 garden season. I'm Allison and I'm going to show you a little bit of my garden today. I'm so excited that it's finally mid-May and we've had a lot warmer of a spring than last year. So I've got some stuff growing inside and some stuff growing outside, and I'm excited to show you. So I wanted to show you a new space that I created. This is just a little garden space that I did with the sheet mulching method that I did last year in the front. So I planted some bok choy, some kohlrabi, and some spinach in this area. So this is just kind of a new space. You can see it's about 4 feet by 4 feet. It's not huge, but it's just in this little bit cooler of an area, less sunny. There's a big tree up here, so it gets some good morning light, but it's not as sunny as the regular garden. And here is one of our apple trees. It's leafing out, looking pretty happy. This is the second year we've had this tree, and now we can go look at the rest of the garden. Right, so here's our other apple tree. This one is a Macintosh, and it gets a little bit more sun than the Liberty tree, so it's leafed out a little earlier, but still doing really well. This area I'm going to turn into some more growing space. I'm just kind of killing some leaves, killing some grass and just kind of preventing the weeds from coming up. And here is the main garden. So this is kind of what we're working with right now. You can see that I've extended the hoop house situation to be across the whole bed. And I did that earlier this spring, and so I'm actually growing stuff in the whole raised bed, which last year I only used kind of that end piece here and then right here, and this part was kind of open. So that's kind of a new development for this year. Okay, so starting off with the raspberry bed, I have 3 raspberry plants. There's one there, and one there. You can see this one has already expanded to here, and I'm going to be fighting to keep it out of my garden, out of my raised beds here, but that's a good problem to have. So this is again the second year for these raspberries. They're starting to get established. In the meantime, I planted some peas here. I figured I could just use this space this year before the raspberries get too big. They'll fix some nitrogen in the soil and kind of have a nice symbiotic relationship, so we'll see how that goes. Next, I have some garlic. Now, I planted garlic here last year. It's doing well again. It's actually doing better than the garlic I planted right here. So this garlic is growing under cover, and I think that because it's hardneck garlic, it actually likes cold weather, so it might be a little too warm under this hoop house. Who knows? But that was just kind of a little experiment, and I'll probably put it in the new bed in the back next year, just because it doesn't need quite as much sun as other things. This is a little bed of greens. I'm really working on succession planting this year, so I'm growing some kind of fast crops. I'm growing some radishes. You can see these are my French breakfast radishes, and then a regular Easter egg mix, and then some lettuce and some mustard. And these are all going to get harvested before I plant my warm weather crops. So that's kind of the idea with these plants here. I have lots of volunteer sunflowers that are coming up this year. I chop and dropped a bunch of my sunflowers in the garden bed, and of course the seeds germinated, and so that's kind of been a fun thing. You can see I've got one there and one here and a really big one there, and here, and so now I'm starting to just kind of like pull out all the volunteers, like this one I'll just pull out because there's just so many. I don't have enough space for all of those, but so moving on, this is my dinosaur kale. I started this inside and transplanted it out. I did about, I would say I did most of my greens outside, and then I transplanted some, like this arugula in the back. I transplanted those too, but you can see that these are starting to catch up. The mustard I transplanted, and this mustard actually, this is from saved seeds along here, and I think it cross-pollinated with bok choy because it doesn't have, this stuff looks like it was cross-pollinated. Do you see how it's kind of starting to form a head there? And the leaves are flatter, so it's kind of an interesting mix there, but it still tastes good, still eating it. So but that's been kind of a funny little thing that happened. So yeah, more greens in here. I interplanted radishes with the greens, and again, I'm gonna be harvesting a lot of this stuff before I put in tomatoes and peppers and melons and things like that. I've got my carrots here, 2 different varieties of carrots. They germinated pretty well, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then our funny mustard kale situation here, or mustard bok choy. All right, so now this is the most productive part of the garden again. And yeah, I don't know why I prioritize this part, but it just always looks so good. So again, this is kind of intermixed greens and radishes. A lot of these I started from seed outdoors under plastic, and then some of them I started inside. So starting from this side, I started this purple bok choy inside, and transplanted a couple weeks ago, along with these tatsois. I'm really excited for these. They're gonna be beautiful. And the idea is to get rid of these radishes and let these bok choy plants grow a little bit. But this variety of radish takes a little longer, so I'll definitely be planting radishes that are a little bit faster to grow, like these French breakfast radishes here next time, because this succession kind of didn't work, or I'm ready to pull these radishes out and give these bok choy some more room. But so I have 4 radishes in this bed. I have Sichuan red beauty, Chinese red meat, I guess I have more than 4, Japanese wasabi, and then French breakfast, and then I also have the Easter egg mix. So that's kind of been fun. We've been harvesting this whole row. I already harvested of radishes. I'm growing lettuce this year, even though I don't like salad. I thought I'd give it a try, and this lettuce is growing really well, so I'm pretty excited about that. Lots of volunteers in this bed over here. Had a lot of volunteer cilantro, which has been really fun. It's kind of sprinkled all over here. And then some volunteer baby bok choy. I think I actually planted baby bok choy on this row, but volunteer baby bok choy, also a lot of volunteer arugula, which has been fun because that stuff just bolts so fast. So it's been fun to kind of just have it popping up. Like you can see it's popping up and starting to go to seed here. I'm just kind of letting it grow. More radishes, got some kale here. I feel like this might be kohlrabi, or maybe some weird cross-pollination, because you can see it looks different than this stuff. So I don't really know what that is. Lots of funny cross-pollination happening in this bed this year. More radishes, more funky kale. This row I planted New Zealand spinach, and it's only really coming up back here. So I'm gonna have to thin that out, but it's supposed to be more heat tolerant, so after I get these radishes out, hopefully it'll kind of take off and be there throughout the summer. And then I planted some regular spinach here that will go to seed when it gets warmer. But now moving to the more perennial part of the garden, you can see more sunflowers self-seeding. We'll see if they survive. We still have some threat of frost. This is the salvia plant. that came back. It's so exciting when stuff comes back. I'm just like super jazzed about it. The perennials have been really exciting to see come back. Like this currant. Can you believe how many blossoms are on that? That's crazy. Also, there are a lot of noises happening today. We've got some trains, some lawn mowing, some sirens, so enjoy that. And I'll be interplanting some annuals in this space again. Last year I put sunflowers between these two and then some tomatoes. I think I'm going to put beans along the back this year, so we'll see how that goes. My other currant bush, and then the rhubarb is coming back, which is exciting. And then this strawberry was originally planted here, and it's not really coming back from here, but it's coming back from here and then over there, so that's pretty exciting. And then the last part of our outdoor space is this apricot tree starting to leaf out. I planted some bulbs last year that are coming up. My echinacea is coming up there and over there. And then, of course, our chives are coming back, which is exciting. And then the other currant bush, which doesn't get as much sun, so it's a little bit slower to come back. I'm doing cabbages in pots this year. Didn't really want to take up some real estate with those, so we'll see how those fare. They're much bigger than they were last year. Like I said, we've had kind of a warmer spring. And then this is all of my mint and catnip that I'm just kind of waiting to come back. You can see the catnip's coming back. My cat's not really letting it grow that big, but this is peppermint and I can smell this, so I think it's coming back, and then we'll see about that one and that one. Have some herbs in these pots. I started some parsley inside and planted it here, and then I started a couple cilantro plants inside and then succession sowed around the edges, so hopefully it will go to seed a little bit slower. And then in this pot I'm going to put all my basil that I have inside, and I don't know what these are. I'm just kind of waiting to see if they're volunteers or weeds, but I also planted some nasturtium seeds, so we'll see if those come up. It's been a little while, so I don't know what's going on with those. But and lastly, I wanted to show you what we've got growing inside. I have lots of tomatoes and peppers in here. This whole tray is tomatoes. I have let's see, I have black krim, purple Russian, Napa Chardonnay, which is a cherry, Brad's Atomic Grape, purple pear, chocolate pear, and yellow pear. I think that's all the tomatoes that I have. And there's I think there's two of each, at least two of each, in this tray. So I've got about 14 tomatoes. And then peppers, I have shishito, black Hungarian, cayenne, Scotch bonnet, and lemon drop. And then I'm growing eggplants for the first time this year, so that's pretty exciting. This is the ping tongue eggplant, and I'm also growing ground cherries, which I'm very excited about. They're already starting to flower, so I've been pinching off the blossoms, but I have 4 of those, so that's probably what I'll put by those currant bushes. Yeah, so just kind of waiting for it to get warm enough. I'll probably start to put some of these tomatoes, especially the black krim. It can tolerate some colder nights without being too stunted. So I'll probably put those under plastic in about a week. And then I have some flowers here. They're starting to come up. My cat got locked in this room and sat on that tray because he likes how warm this light is. So the flowers kind of took a hit. But some of them are coming up. And then I have some experimental okra here. We'll see how that grows in Montana. And then the melons that I started. So yeah, that's kind of all I have for you today. I'm really excited for the warmer weather and to be able to put these warm weather crops in the ground. I've been harvesting some cool weather stuff, which is exciting. And yeah, I hope you'll check out my garden for the rest of the season.